Hey guys, it's Alec Torelli, and welcome back to the hand of the day. Today's hand comes from Guido. He's playing a 5-5 cash game in Southern California. But before we get into the action today, I got a lot of comments and feedback about my intro. I know it was a little long, so I made a new one for you guys. I hope you like it. Check it out.
Hand of the day.
All right, guys, thanks for your patience. We are back with the hand of the day. This one kicks off with Guido here in the cutoff, 3 blinds here, and he has 6-5 offsuit. So you're wondering how this became a hand of the day because these are a little bit loose fundamentals. I feel like we should fold here. Clear fold in my opinion. Especially Guido, you're telling me that the players are really loose in this game, which gives even more credence to folding. It's really unlikely you're going to steal the pot pre-flop. And you got to remember, there's a straddle here. So you have 3 blinds behind you, not 2, which means there's more players in the pot left to act. So a bigger chance you're going to get 3-bet or a bigger chance that somebody's going to defend. So I would just fold here. I'd open 6-5 suited. I would probably still fold this on the button as well. It's just a little bit too loose. Anyway, you decide to open the button calls and the small blind calls. And we go 3 ways to the flop. Flop comes absolute gin. 7-4-3 with 4-3 of spades. Flush drop. We flop the nuts. The small blind bets out 105. And now we have a tough decision. Not because we have the nuts, we are easily going to proceed in the hand, but we have a real consideration to face here. Number one is, we want to get all the money in against the small blind and we want to protect our hand against the button, not let them draw for cheap. But at the same time, we also want to try and win as much money as possible in the long term and not think about only protecting our hand in the short term, but what's the highest EV play? What's going to net us the highest expectation long term? So here you have a real consideration. There's definitely merit in raising because the small blind's very likely to have a hand that he can continue with and go all in. He called a raise from the small blind in a 3 blind game after a raise and a call, which means he's very likely to have a strong hand, something like overpairs or big suited cards. And on this board, it's very likely he has 8s or better, pocket 8s or better, or a big flush drop. And he's probably going to go with both of those hands facing a raise. So you could make a case for raising here to get it in against the small blind and deny equity against the button and not let him call for cheap and draw and play a big pot against you when he's in position. At the same time, you could also make a case for calling. Maybe you trap the button, you disguise your hand, and maybe the button raises, maybe he overplays his hand, and you get him in there with hands that he would fold if you raise. If I had to go with lean towards one option, I would probably go towards raising just because the button is not going to continue with that many hands facing a bet and a call on a board like this. If he does have a hand that flopped a lot of equity, like a 7 with spades or a combo draw like ace-5 of spades, ace-deuce of spades, ace-6 of spades, something like that, all those hands are going to call if you raise as well, so you are charging him a bigger price for the draws. You also don't want him in there with something like 8-9 of spades, because he's getting the right price to call and you're out of position with a hand that's very strong. You're going to lose more money on subsequent streets if your opponent does improve. So I would raise here and charge him. I'd probably make it something like $400 and go from there. As played, you decided to just call, and now the button decides to make it 300. The small blind goes all in and shoves, and it's back around to you, which is a miracle. This never happens, right? It never happens when you get so much action and you have the nuts. It's almost like you're deer in headlights. What do you do? So in this spot, I feel like here we have a clear raise. The button already showed a ton of strength. And no matter what happens, when you call $700 cold with someone left to act behind you, your range isn't that much different if you call than it is if you raise. It's slightly weaker if you call, you can argue, sure. But at the same time, you don't want the button calling $400 more, closing the action and getting an excellent price to draw for very cheap and potentially bust you. Your stack to pot ratio is going to be very small if you just call, and you're not really going to know what to do on the turn if the board pairs or a spade comes. You don't really want to risk getting outplayed or giving your opponent a free chance to improve and bust you. So I would make a big raise here, something like 1,800, 2,000, whatever. You could even go all in, and that is how I would play the hand in this spot. As played, you decide to make it 1,800, which is totally fine. Here, I feel like the button's range for continuing is going to be pretty damn narrow. He's facing an all-in, and you cold back raising over everybody else when you just called the 105 bet initially. So it screams the nuts, or at the very least, top set from your point of view. And I think he's going to be folding a lot of the time here. I think this is a spot where the button can make a big fold, because if you did have a draw yourself, you would have probably have raised the flop. So when you back raise here, it really does scream like you have the nuts, and I feel like the button shouldn't be calling here with that many hands. So the button decides to tank for a long time and call. At this point, I feel like he probably has a set or a big combo draw. Those are really the only hands he could have. If he had the nuts, he'd probably just go all in. There's no real sense for him to trap when you have $1,500 behind. It doesn't really make any sense. It also doesn't make sense for him to tank for 2 minutes before calling because you're committed to the pot. Why would he tank in Hollywood? I mean, people do weird things in live poker, but using logic, that really makes absolutely no sense. So I would expect him to have a big combo draw here, something like ace-5 of spades, or something like he doesn't really, not really sure what to do, like middle set, bottom set, where he's just going to call. If the turn blanks, he's going to go with it and proceed from there. Turn is a king of hearts. Excellent turn for you. You have really no decision here. Clear shove. You told me in your email that you tanked for a couple minutes here trying to make your hand look weak and all this metagame stuff. Not really necessary. The pot's already 4,500. You have 1,500 left. You don't even really care if your opponent folds a combo draw here. He's almost priced in anyway against your specific hand. And so you don't really need to like Hollywood to get him to call it off. If he has a set, he's calling. He's not going to fold on this turn. And there's nothing really to tank for. I would just shove it all in and hope for the best. Run it twice, hope for the best. Anyway, you go all in. He calls. We run it once. The river's a deuce of spades, and here it's pretty damn impossible you're going to win the pot. You're basically hoping they both have sets. Unfortunately, the button has ace-9 of spades, small blind has a set, and we wind up in second place. Not good enough to take home the hand. Sorry, Guido, tough beat. You played it well. Congrats on the hand. You did play it well in the long term, but I'm sorry you lost. Brutal beat, and on to the next one. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel, give it a thumbs up. I'd greatly appreciate it. Leave me a comment below and let me know what you think about my new intro too. I'd like to know your thoughts on that as well. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Much love. See you guys next time for the hand of the day.